According to Google, most celebrated festival in India is Diwali. I guess Google is wrong. The most celebrated festival in India is IPL. And like every religion, every festival, it also has an history. So, let's start. Before we start, a small question. From the 15th season of IPL, how many state teams are there and city teams are there in IPL? Tell me in the comments below. Subhash Chandra, the owner of Z News, bid for the broadcasting rights in the year 2003, 2006, and 2007. Every time he was the highest bidder and was rejected. The reason given was no experience in the field of sports broadcasting. So they entered politics. And they supported Sharad Pawar and defeated Jagmohan Dalmia in the BCCI president elections. Sharad Pawar won the election, but still Z couldn't get the broadcasting rights. At this point, BCCI was one of the strongest boards in world cricket. They had the money, but this method was typical Indian slow method. India didn't have infrastructure for domestic circuit nor at grassroots level. No new initiatives were taking place. But twist in the tail was T20 and this format had spread rapidly throughout the globe. Except India. When ICC announced T20 World Cup, there was no sign of T20 at India's domestic circuit. But here, Subhash Chandra saw his chance. He believed that after the upcoming T20 World Cup, the T20 would have gained its popularity. So, before the World Cup in 2007, ICL was announced. International and domestic players would play for clubs. Bran Lara, Shane Bod, and Zaman ul Haq were signed in. Tony Gregg, Madan Lal, Kiran More were added to the board, and Kapil Dev was appointed as the chairman. So, the situation was the T20 World Cup was going to take place in September and ICL was going to take place in May. BCCI was not planning to do anything with T20 cricket and popularity of the format was also not sure. Thus, BCCI did not have any reason to oppose the ICL. But one thing was clear that a privately owned media company's tournament would set up new records and new ideals for Indian cricket. BCCI didn't want this. BCCI openly opposed it. Looking at the case of ICL, they did not do any arrangement before this tournament. They thought relating the success of ICL to T20 World Cup would do it all. Now, for any privately owned league, money is that matters. Now, ICL had to turn rich Indian national team players against BCCI, which was next to impossible. So, players from foreign countries were added to the list, and Indian players whose selection chances were the least were too added to the list. But wait for a minute. Sahil, didn't you say BCCI opposed the league? Yes, I did. One more thing that ICL got wrong was underestimated the calls of ICC and BCCI. Within a week, BCCI declared ICL as an unofficial and rebel tournament. Every board in the world was contacted and warned them from instructing their players from joining ICL. Indian players were warned, if you play ICL, then you will be banned. Now, BCCI played with the greed of players. No company will sponsor ICL, was indirectly told to everyone. BCCI doubled the salaries and prize money. Now, players started to reject to leave the domestic circuit as they were getting more money in the local tournaments. BCCI could do this because they had the power and money. But what about the other boards? After noticing the Indian players have decreased from the list, Z invited Pakistan and Bangladeshi players. Main team players were from both countries agreed to play ICL. Bangladesh was such in a situation that there so many players were joining ICL that their main team was facing difficulties to create a squad. After seeing ICL adding players to the list, BCCI changed their game plan. Now, BCCI ordered strict rules to state associations that no ground under the control of state association would be given to ICL. People who will join ICL, their state contracts will be cancelled. Now Z already cross-read BCCI. The next day, Z appealed to the court against BCCI and started to book grounds which were under the state government. As this news spread like forest fire, BCCI booked all the grounds under state government for some local tournament. Now, Z once again appealed to the court against BCCI for unfair practices. Simultaneously, they booked Kolkata's Eden Gardens and Ahmedabad's local stadium. Now, ICL held players and locations. So, BCCI changed this Cold War into a World War. Hence, BCCI released a press conference asking ICC not to recognize ICL until BCCI does so. ICC didn't have any rules for such private leagues, and if this case would reach the international courts, the decision would be in favor of ICL. Therefore, Lalit Modi from India, English board president, and South African board president together sat in an ICC committee and changed the constitution of ICC altogether. The change was quite simple. Private tournaments would only be recognized and accepted if the National Cricket Board allows to do so. ICC couldn't enter in this stuff. Till that time, results of the cases appealed by Z in the court had been knocking the door of BCCI. Z won the cases in the court. Not an association nor BCCI or anyone could cancel the contracts of the players who have already joined ICL. Here, now BCCI was ready with their most deadly weapon used in this war. 13th September 2007, BCCI announced their own league, Indian Premier League, or what we call today IPL. Biggest possible names of cricket and never possibly seen money in cricket. From the announcement till the tournament ended, ICL was completely destroyed due to IPL. Leftover was eaten by the scavengers. BCCI allowed the players who had joined ICL to join IPL. Till the time that ICL was officially ended, BCCI was answering the questions that did they do right or wrong in the courts. This question was answered by BCCI in the courts for the next 10 years. But at the end, ICL lost. But I have a question. Was the war worth it? Was it actually needed? Let's see in the next chapter. Today, IPL is not just an Indian Premier League, but a festival. It has set up a record that it has increased in 23% in its viewership almost every year. People seem like their team doesn't win, they are doomed in life. Every lunch break discussion is on IPL when the league is going on. IPL is never boring, and if it's seeming so, just one CSK MI encounter is to be scheduled, and then no one can miss the match at any cost. Favorite players amongst favorite players. Favorite players against favorite players. But interestingly, this doesn't affect in the overall support to the Indian team. Globally, this league is being followed and enjoyed, and BCCI makes two types of profits, financially and potentially. I don't know how to conclude, and we can talk all day long, but I can proudly say that the world is on the edge of the seats because of India. Always remember, cricket is gentlemen's sport. Gentlemen's sport only?